Hey everyone, we're live.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Hello, Dana and Mike, and
hello.
welcome. Thank you so much for being on here, Mike.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I was really touched that you guys wanted to kind of have me on here. So this is fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, great. And as our audience knows, this series is called Conscious and Connected during COVID-19. And our mission is to make sure people stay aware and feel connected and get tools to help them through this very strange time. So thanks again, Mike, for being on this.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And I think what we're finding is people enjoy sharing their gifts. So we're really excited to hear yours today. And so this is Mike Anthony, and he has the honor of being the first male on Conscious and Connected.
An added honor. I appreciate that.
And so we're going to dive right in, Mike, by starting with our first question, which is like we go right there. Who are you? Beyond, the typical surface labels that we often answer this question with in less than 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll do my best. Well, so as you said, my name is Michael. I'm originally from upstate New York. After college, I kind of got a kind of like a travel bug. I wanted to travel to as many places as I could, and just ended up sticking around here. It's a beautiful area. I work in mental health at a community mental health organization, and I really do my best to stay centered through martial arts practice, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, which really helps, kind of keep me centered, kind of keep me on point, even outside of, this COVID-19. So I also am a musician, and I also am helping to build a nonprofit that focuses on adults with autism, trying to get into, the working world. So a jack of many trades, I suppose. It definitely keeps me busy. So that's pretty much who I am. I just enjoy talking to people. I enjoy connection. So that's what I can give you.
So I know you're a man of many hats, obviously, right? From social worker and therapist to martial arts practitioner to teacher to musician to traveler. I'm curious, like, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? I get joy in a lot of things. I get joy in communicating with people. I get joy in, the practice that I do. I really am attached to the martial arts practice. That brings me a lot of joy. The most joy I get is seeing joy from others. And I really, really enjoy to see other people happy, or that, maybe something that I've been able to give them has been able to, make a positive impact. And I think that's what brings me really the most joy, is just to see that, everybody is doing the best they can, is in a good space, and, is helping with that positive energy that, this world desperately needs.
Okay. So the thing that brings you the most joy is seeing the positive impact in the world, and others experiencing joy as a result of that.
Yep.
Awesome.
And clearly, it sounds like martial arts and connection, and maybe even your music are helping you through this time. Is there anything else that you can share with the audience that's helping you through COVID-19?
I have to say, as a Floridian, hunkering down with power and Wi-Fi is a lot better than, when we've had to do it after a big storm. So I've really been using that as a good opportunity, through video conferencing, Zoom, for example. I've been able to connect with so many people that, I haven't talked to in quite some time, like old friends that have moved across, the United States that, I would not see nearly as much as I do now through modern electronics, which is great. So being able to kind of keep those connections and reignite old connections, has really, really been a positive experience. It's brought me joy, and it's very cool. So I think that's one of the main things that I wasn't expecting to get out of all of this, but found that it's really good to do. I mean, I'm the only one that lives here in Florida. All my family is still back in upstate New York. So even just having family get-togethers, has been fantastic. I would only see them maybe once a year and talk to them periodically, but now it's almost like a weekly basis. We're all meeting up together. We're all kind of sharing stories, and it's as if, I'm back home. So I think that's, outside of, personal practice, I think that's one of the main aspects that really, kind of keeps me centered through this. So.
Absolutely. And isn't it amazing? I had like a conference call with my brothers a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, why weren't we doing this on a regular basis before?
Right?
So it's a beautiful thing that's coming out of this is we're connecting in ways that we could be doing even when this isn't happening.
Yeah, exactly. And I really think that that's something I hope that, people kind of take with them through this experience. I know that there's a lot of, maybe some anxiety around everything that's going on around us. But I mean, there really is something about being able to think outside the box and find these different ways that, we didn't necessarily have before. And I hope it's something that people kind of continue to do outside of this. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that is something we keep hearing, and myself included, like how connection can actually be deepened during this time. And speaking of small world, I saw Jen's eyes when you said you're from upstate New York, because so is Jen.
Yes, I'm from Saugerties, New York.
Okay, I'm from Elmira, outside of Binghamton.
Oh, okay. I went to Oneonta. I went to SUNY.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. I know when you said that, I was like, oh, wait, what? Because it's so small, even though upstate is considered like anything north of Manhattan. Yes. It's still so small. So
I was taught at a very young age, when people ask me where I'm from, I can't just say New York because everybody thinks it's from the city. I have to say upstate New York, and then people will kind of ask, some more specific questions.
I know, exactly.
Yep.
I know. I do the 2 hours north along the Hudson River.
That's
mine.
I'm always outside of Binghamton, closest big city, right on the PA border. You can kind of get some landmarks around there.
Exactly.
So for all of those other upstate New Yorkers, I'm sure you know what they're talking about.
I know. Dana's like, Boise, Idaho people.
Yeah.
That place that no one's from. That's right. So let's dive right into your gift that you're going to be sharing with the audience today, Mike.
Sure. So through this, I've really gotten a chance to almost reevaluate everything that's going on. What I really wanted to share was a quote that a history professor in college once told me, and he said that throughout generations, once every generation or so, there's something called an iron broom that comes along, and it's a big paradigm shift, a big change of events that kind of forces the world to reevaluate itself. And it's not necessarily something bad or good. I mean, to the world, it kind of seems, like a traumatic event. Let's say like the Great Depression is an example of one. But the idea is that, community and society, we get into these repetitions, like we're used to, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to work and, I'm going to listen to my podcast and then I'm going to come home and then I'm going to make dinner. But these situations kind of force us to reevaluate those things. It kind of gives us a chance to almost give ourselves like a rebirth, and finding these different gems throughout this, whether that is reconnecting with people within your home, reconnecting with people through video conferencing, reconnecting with yourself, having that extra moment to actually focus on the breath, do some meditation, do some some yoga, whatever you can do in the house. These are opportunities that we didn't necessarily think of prior that are now being given to us. And that's something beautiful. And even outside of that, I mean, you think about the changes that this has already been making. I mean, we're seeing a resurgence in even in nature. They're saying that, there's dolphins back in Venice, which hasn't been there in like 60 years. You can see the Himalayas from India because of the lack of pollution. There's all these positive things that are actually coming out of this. And I know there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of, devastation. But outside of that, when you look at yourself, when you look at these other situations about it, there's always a silver lining. And I think that it's really important to focus on that, to focus on what's good about everything. This session in general is fantastic. I mean, it's giving us an opportunity to connect to so many people that are looking for this information. And I think that it's that's probably the main gift that I can give, is just a difference of perspective. And then also a joke, which is fun. So
before we go into the joke, which I'm very eager to hear, because not many people can deliver just like a joke and at least for me, that's something I feel really intimidated by. So I'm super very curious to hear yours. But I just want to pause for a moment, because I think what you shared is really profound, that we all have the capacity to begin to shift our perspective around essentially any experience we're in and expand our understanding of it. And so was the quote the iron rake? Was that the quote?
Yes, the iron broom. So examples of this: Great Depression, maybe even the World Wars. Something that really causes society to think to itself, okay, maybe we don't have everything figured out. Maybe, like this whole thing, we have everything set up, the world's going great, this is how everything's going to be, and then something happens that totally causes everybody to reevaluate the situation. And that's the idea of the iron broom.
Okay. And when you are faced with this opportunity to see things anew, to see things differently outside of our sort of perpetual routine, how do you go about shifting that perspective? How do you personally, yes, we're confronted with it externally, but I mean, sort of in here, we can make any story around that, right? And so how do you personally begin to shift your perspective in these times?
So initially, obviously, these situations come, and it's very devastating. It's something that happens. You're not ready for it, so it takes some adjustment. You have to accept the fact that like this is happening. It's beyond my control. I have to let things play out the way that they're going to play out. The best thing that I can do is think about it and find these silver linings about it. And it's something that could potentially just come to you. Like we were talking about before, talking with people you haven't talked with in forever. It's being conscious of those things, and then they begin to kind of add up, and you start to see these changes, you start to see these positive lights in it. Just being able to take a breath, step back for a minute, see how everything is going, and focusing on what's good in your life. What's something that you're doing that's bringing you joy in this situation? If you're enjoying the extra time to, do yoga, focus on, meditation, something along those lines, that's a piece of joy, and you store that. You think about that. That's something good that's coming out of the situation, and you build on that. Talking with my friends that live across, the United States, that's a good thing. Let's put that, there as well. News about, nature coming back around, that's a good thing. Let's put that away. And eventually you start to see that these good things kind of start to build up, and there's a lot of good in, everything that's going on as well. So then you naturally start to kind of focus more on that than everything else that's going on, because like we said before, once it happens, you have to realize it's out of your control. You can do everything you can for yourself, and you can do everything you can for the community within your limits, but ultimately the grand scheme of things, it's just out of our control. So we have to let it play out the way it's going to, and focus on those goods as they begin to build up.
Absolutely. And, it makes me think of the Serenity Prayer, right? It's just one of those just so powerful in so many things. And how you spoke to that, Mike, how you talked about first step is just accepting what is, like it is what it is. And then what can we change, right? What do we have the courage to change? And it's what we focus on, what we shift our thinking to. And so it sounds like it's almost like you were creating a gratitude journal when you were just listing through the different things that you can be grateful for. And we do have power over that. We do have control over that. That choice in our mind, that shift in thinking.
And it takes practice, there's, especially, if you're watching the news, which, as Shahar, our main teacher, says, the news is 10%, telling you the news, and 90% keeping you on the couch, so when you surround yourself with all of that, it kind of pulls you away from that thinking. You start to be tempted to kind of re-involve yourself with that fear, with that anxiety. So practices like that and focusing on that good, like we talked about, that's more of a positive way to do things. Stay away, you can get information here and there, being conscious of where you're getting that information, but ultimately focusing on the good, that the gratitude, serenity prayer, building up that silver lining.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of, we had a yoga instructor on, and her name is Michelle, and she talked about the importance of will and discipline right now. And of course, with your martial arts practice, that's a huge component is that it does take a certain amount of will to begin to shift the negativity bias of the brain by stacking up gratitude and appreciation, right? And there's, I think, no greater practice than the practice of harnessing our own minds, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I was reminded of when we were sharing about how to consciously shift perspective.
Yeah. And, a big portion of it is also self-care. I mean, we are currently in situations where maybe we're working from home, maybe we're, unfortunately, maybe we're not working at the time, but, staying in a normal self-care routine, is also very important. I mean, for example, like I've been working from home, it's very easy to wake up and think, oh, nobody's going to see me today. Maybe I don't need to take a shower or change or anything like that. But, I keep myself shaved. I keep myself clean. I wake up, I make my coffee. I do everything the way that I used to do. And, that's very important as well, is to kind of give yourself that self-care to keep your spirit enriched so that you're able to do these things. It's very easy to take this in two different ways. You can remain stagnant and you can remain, kind of repetitive, or you can continue on a routine that will make you feel better in general and open your mind and open your spirit to these experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So self-care routine and the shift. And then I also like how you talked about the filtering of the news. I tell clients and people, be informed. Be informed, get what you need to know, but then try to limit it because it is overwhelming. And I love Shahar's quote.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure.
Mike, is there anything else you'd like to share today? Anything else that feels important to mention before we end?
Joke. We need the joke.
I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you at the end. The main thing to remember is that we are going to get through this. We really are. And it may seem very daunting. It may seem very big. But again, accepting the fact that it's out of your control and doing what you can for yourself and for those around you to keep yourselves supported, to keep yourselves healthy, to keep yourselves conscious is one of the most important things that we can do. We will get through this. We are very strong. We have many resources around us. We have this wonderful stream that, is helping connect people. There's, in the end, everything is going to be okay. And that's one of the main things to remember. So.
All right. I'm on.
Are you ready for my joke? Are you ready for my joke? Okay. I love little popsicle jokes. So here we go. What did the grape say when the elephant sat on it? You up?
You first.
Yeah, you're very close. Nothing. It just gave out a little whine. Oh.
I love jokes with children. Those are the best.
Family jokes are fantastic. I used to have a group of friends and we would just trade those jokes back and forth all the time. So I love those.
I have, my daughter's 8, so I have an 8-year-old joke. If you want to hear it.
Let's hear it. Of course. I love them.
Okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm saying this out loud live. How do you make a Kleenex dance?
Oh, I know this one. It's my mom's favorite. Do you want me to say it? Do you want me to answer it? You put a little boogie in it. My mom loves that one, and then she loves this one.
Okay.
Did you hear that Willie Nelson was hit by a car?
No.
He was singing on the road again. She says those two. I've heard those two all my life. To everyone that we meet. And people always drop and they're like, Willie Nelson was hit by a car. They're always like, and then she's like, yeah, he was singing on the road again.
and then it clicks for him.
So we all got to partake in our innocent joke telling, which we hope you can find levity in this too.
Yeah, exactly. Again, bringing joy.
That's right. Yes, you love that.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen, we didn't know we had the connection of put a little boogie in it.
I know. I'm sure my mom, Florence is her name, definitely told you that, Dana. It may not have stated.
Maybe it was a Florence original. Well, Mike, thank you again for your time and sharing so much of you and your wisdom here today. I know I really benefited. I'm sure our audience will too.
Well, thank you guys so much for this opportunity. Like I said, I was very humbled and touched that you guys wanted to reach out and interview me. I think this is a fantastic service that a lot of people need today, and I really wish you guys the best. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mike. And I wish I could take one of your martial arts classes. I'm up in Salem, Massachusetts, by the way. You guys are in St. Pete, but it sounds like I can just tell you're really good at it.
Thank you so much. Well, we have the live stream. Saturday mornings we do our qigong practice online. Shahar holds about an hour and a half. We do some qigong breathing exercises, guided meditation, and then usually kind of fills us in with maybe a story or some sort of perspective to think about throughout the week. But that's public. We can send you the stream if you're interested in taking one of those classes.
Yeah, absolutely, and we should put it on here so people can do that.
You'll see it at the bottom of the description. So thank you again. And for anyone in the audience who would like this opportunity to share your gift, you can email hello@integrativecounsel.org.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys again.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.